2 songs earlier. Both those songs we played, Brother Kiko liked those songs, When We All Get to Heaven, and There's a New Name Written in Glory. So I appreciate her playing those, Brother Chris for singing those. Tonight, and I hate to do this, Deacon Charles requested that when we're done, if we not stay as long, he has some guests at his house, and so he's eager to get back. So I'm going to try and end a little bit early, and I want you to be able to talk a little bit and to fellowship. I know some of you're ready to go anyway, but some of you, man, you will talk in this parking lot out here for like hours. And so tonight we're going to try and take off like around 7 is when we're going to try and get out of here, if that's okay with you. And I like everybody staying and hanging out. I think that shows the camaraderie. I'm all about it. But he did request tonight if we could leave just a little bit earlier, that'd be a blessing to him. If you take your Bibles, please, and turn over to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah and chapter number 40. Isaiah in chapter 40. And if you look there at verse number 31, Isaiah 40 and verse 31, we're going to read a very well-known verse. This verse is taught not just in church, but even people that don't go to church. This verse is in movies. This verse is in media. Very well-known verse. It says there in Isaiah 40:31, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. The verse before that, it says in verse number 30, let's go to verse 29. It says, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. And then he goes into that, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Verse 29, he says that God gives power to the people who are faint, who are tired. And he brings up the fact that youths get tired. I look at myself in the mirror, and I don't think I look very old. Tomorrow, I turn another year older. Don't worry how old that is. That's not really important, okay? But I'll be turning another year older tomorrow. And when I was a teenager, I remember thinking, like, I mean, people always talk when you get older, how tired you get or this or that. I thought, how bad could it really be? And now that I am older, I don't feel old at all. But I know that if I was to hold this water bottle in this spot like this for too long, my arm is going to, like, fall off, right? If you turn your head too quick, your neck, like you get something happens in your neck, or if I don't sit right, like the next day I have a limp, like things like that. That's how you know you're getting a little older. I remember being a teenager, man, you could just go all day. I didn't need to stop. I didn't need to rest. It didn't matter. I could hold this water bottle all day, right? It was no big deal. I might be physically stronger now, but back then you never got tired. But there were times where you did get tired up here as a teenager and as a young person. Our teenagers in here now, they get tired up here mentally, right? Our young adults, they get discouraged or they're down or they're upset. And so he says here, the youths, they faint. They get tired. But there is a person who does not get tired, who does not faint, who does not get weary. And it's those that wait upon the Lord. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. The person that waits on the Lord, that person won't get tired up here, won't get weary up here. Tonight I look around this room and I see a lot of people who are weary. I mean, if we're just being honest. And I don't mean if you're tired because you've been working all day or you're tired because you did a long drive. There's some of that too. But I just mean emotionally, you're tired. Spiritually, you're tired. You are drained and you just feel like, when does the hurting stop? When does it all get better? When can I just relax? Well, we'll relax in heaven, but down here, maybe the problems won't go away. But the verse here says that you and I, we can renew our strength. There's this illustration told about an eagle, and I don't know how true it is, because there's been people who say that's not true, but the illustration goes that an eagle, when he gets old, his feathers get old and his beak gets old, and he'll go up into a mountain and he thinks he's going to die. And his feathers, they begin to fall off, and he begins to molt. And his beak, he like breaks it against a stone supposedly, and things like that. Like his body is just falling apart. But the feathers, when they fall off, he'll get new feathers. And when he breaks off his old beak, his new beak shows up. And his body is renewed, and he's able to go out there and he's able to fly more. Renewing means when you have nothing, you're on empty, and you get a fill up. And you get a second wind, if you will. You get recharged and you're ready to go. And the Bible here says that those that wait on the Lord, he will renew your strength. He will give you the strength to go on. See, here you are and here I am trying to do it in our own power, and God comes along and he can renew it for us. Now, this morning with Miss Sochi and everything that happened, I talked a lot about patience. And patience is you and I being able to go through things that we cannot control. I hate to repeat myself from this morning, but Miss Sochi on Wednesday, they had sent me a text that Brother Kiko, he had passed away at work, and Miss Sochi was having a hard time holding on. We went up there on Friday to go see her. Wednesday, she didn't want to see anybody. She didn't want any visitors. She didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to call anyone. She just wanted to be alone in a room, not see anyone. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody handles things differently. That's how she handled it. But on Friday, she said, you can come up. So we went up there, and Brother Carlos and Miss Carolina went up there, and Brother Mark and Miss Brandy went up there, and we all went up there, and we sat around the table, and we talked, and we reminisced. We told stories about him, that big cheesy grin he'd get. I don't know if you ever saw it, where he'd be like this, and he'd get this big old grin, and he was very shy. Like, hey, Brother Kiko, do you want to come up here and pray for the offering? And he'd be like, and he'd get that big old grin, and we were telling stories about him and thinking all these memories and things. I didn't really know what to say. I always have struggled. What do you say? And as the pastor, you're supposed to know what to say. And that's a tough one. I didn't know what to say. But I knew we should pray. And so we went around the room and we prayed. And while we were praying, man, I began to cry. My wife began to cry. And when Miss Sochi prayed, she said three things. And I mentioned this morning. She said that she trusted God, that God was good, and that she was thankful. And she thanked God that he had a stroke a couple of years ago. And about 3 years ago, he had a stroke. We went to see him in the hospital. Justin went with me, Ryan went with me, and Isaiah went with me. And we went and we saw him. And at the hospital, he got saved that day. And he would get baptized the next week. And she thanked that happened, that the stroke happened. Because she said after that stroke, they really spent time together and they squeezed every ounce out of every single second. Who thanks God for your husband having a stroke? That's crazy. Who says that when your husband is gone, that God is good and that you trust God? I mean, that is an incredible example of patience. I know there's a lot of things going on in this room. I know a lot of you are having a hard time right now. I know a lot of you are struggling and it's difficult and you barely got here tonight. You were not even going to come. Something pulled you in here. You came stumbling in here. Like, oh my goodness, it's just so tough right now. And I understand that it is. I don't know that any of us are going through something harder than what she's going through right now. I mean, she wins, right? She wins the prize for this month. None of us is going through that. That is crazy. And yet I could see the patience in her and that her strength, God is giving her strength to persevere. And today when I talked to her, she was just so thankful. Thank you for all the support and everything that everyone has done at the church and for praying for us and all these things. By the way, before I forget, Miss Nubia, we do want to take a love offering for her next week. I'm saying it now because I'm going to forget if I don't. But next Sunday, we're going to try and take a love offering for her. Whatever comes, and we'll go to her, a little commercial there, okay? Now, this morning I talked about things that are on the outside that we can't control. It's actually not what I'm talking about right now. It says here, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. This is a decision. This is a choice that you and I make. We make a decision. I am going to wait upon the Lord. And I don't believe this is talking about something that is out of our control. This is talking about something that is in your control. This is something that you could go and take matters into your own hands. You could go in there and you could kick down the door and you could say, I am going to make this happen. But he's saying here, there's another option where you could try and make it work, or you could wait on the Lord. Don't you get tired of always trying to make things happen in your own strength? Don't you get tired of always trying to make it work? Don't you get tired of being strong for everybody else and trying to hold everybody up and trying to be the pillar and trying to make it happen? And don't misunderstand me. There are some times where you need to do that. There are some times where you need to get up and you need to go make something happen. I'm not saying we sit back and watch everything fall apart and we do nothing. I'm not saying that at all. But there is definitely a time where you and we have a choice to make. And the choice is we can get up, we can try and make it happen on our own, or we can wait on the Lord. And you say, well, what are you talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me give an illustration. We look over there at 2 Samuel chapter number 2. I talked just a little bit about this on Wednesday to the young people. 2 Samuel chapter 2. I'd like to get into a little more depth with this and give you what I believe is an example and an illustration of this passage, waiting on the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter number 2. 2 Samuel chapter number 2. You know, I think a lot of times David, he gets a lot of flack because he made so many mistakes. A lot of don't do like this guy did, you know? But there's a lot of great things that he did. And I think this is one of them right here. 2 Samuel chapter number 2. This guy here knew what it meant to wait on the Lord. It says there in 2 Samuel 2, verse number 1, and it came to pass after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said, unto Hebron. Let me just pause right there, okay? I mentioned this on Wednesday, so if you were here, you hear it again. David, the very first thing he did, if you're going to wait on the Lord, okay, this is the very first thing you have to do, just like David did. The first thing that he did is he asked God. He went to God first and said, should I go do this? Should I go do that? Do you want me to go up here? And God then told him, yes, go up here and do that, okay? If you're going to wait on the Lord, that has to be the first thing that you do. Here's what we do. We make a decision and we say, I'm going to go do this. And we never ask God. Or if we do ask God, we ask him after we've already decided what we're going to do. And we say, hey, God, this is what I want to do. Can you please give me your stamp of approval? I've already made the decision what I want to do. I just want you to be okay with it. I just want you to say, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. No. That's not what David did. David asked, should I go do this? And before we make these big life-changing decisions, we should ask God, hey, should I even do that? Is that a good idea? Should I go buy that new car? Do I really need a Tesla right now? Should I go move houses? Should I go switch jobs? Is this guy the right guy for me? Or is this girl the right girl for me? But that's not what we do. We say, oh, I love this guy, though. He's got my heart, I can't live without him. And on the way there, to go be with this guy, we ask, by the way, God, you cool with this? Are you all right with it? Yeah, he's fine. I can change him anyway, God. Don't worry about it. You never asked. You just told God what you were going to do. And you just want him to give a stamp of approval. That is not how it works. David, he asked God, what should I do? Are you asking God, what should I do? Or are you telling God what you're going to do? And hey, I hope you're cool with that. Ask God what you should do. Inquire of him if you're really going to wait on the Lord. You know why we don't do that? I think we're afraid what he'd say. I think we're worried because we kind of already have an idea what we want to do. And we already have a general plan. And what if God throws a wrench at all of my plans? What if God tells me that that's not a good idea? And I have my heart set on doing whatever this is. Listen, if we're going to wait on the Lord, then we got to inquire of him. No wonder we're getting exhausted. We are trying to make it work. And we're trying to squeeze this round piece in this square peg, and it's just not working. And you're sweating, and you're tired, and you're exhausted. You go, I just give up. Man, why don't you start off by asking God, hey, should I even do this? So God comes to David, and he tells him, yeah, go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and skip on down there to verse number 4. It says, the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. Now, time out here, okay? Some of you are Bible readers, so you know this, but many of you are not, or you're not familiar with the story, okay? It says there in verse number 4, David got anointed king by the tribe of Judah, all right? David was already anointed king. He got anointed years earlier when he was a teenager. When he was a teenager, he was out there watching the sheep, and the prophet Samuel, the prophet of the whole country, brought him in front of his father and in front of all of his brothers, he got anointed king of Israel back then. He was probably, most people think, 16 or 17. Now, he's about 32. He's in his early 30s at this time. Well, you do the math. We're talking 10 to 15 years. He's barely now getting anointed. If I came to you and say, hey, we're gonna take you out to lunch. I've told a couple of you guys we're gonna take you out to lunch, right? And Pastor, when are we gonna go? Next week comes, hey, you said you're gonna take us out to lunch. Oh, I am. But I didn't say when. And so you're waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, 15 years later, you're like, hey, he's not taking us. That guy's a stinking liar. Can you believe that guy, right? 15 years is a long time. David waited and he waited and he waited. Wait, what word do I keep saying? He waited and he waited and he waited and they that wait upon the Lord, David waited and he waited. Now he gets anointed king. Finally, I've been waiting all this time. I've been anointed king. Wait. What did it say? It said he got anointed king by the house of Judah. None of those are just words to you, like, what's a Judah? I'm glad you asked, okay? We have 50 states in the United States. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to name them. How many could you name, I wonder, Could you get 10? Could you get 15? There's 50 of those things, all right? From Kentucky to Arkansas to North and South Dakota, all right? 50 of them. That's what makes up our country. 50 states. Mexico, I also think, has states, but there's also some provinces. Is that right? Am I right, Miss Rosemary? And Canada's got territories. What does that even mean, right? But every country has different things that make it up. Israel was made up of 12 tribes. Think of it like 12 families, okay? Judah is actually the biggest. Judah and Ephraim are the two biggest. So he just got anointed king by the biggest tribe. That's great. Here's the problem. There's 11 other tribes. When Samuel anointed him king, it was of the whole country. So he's been waiting 10 to 15 years. Now he gets anointed by one tribe. That'd be like you winning the presidency of the United States, but you're only the president of the West Coast. You're not the president of the East Coast or the Midwest or the South. They hate you there. I mean, just stay in Washington, Oregon, and California. That's your domain. Well, you're not the president. You have 3 states. That's it. David just got anointed, but only by one tribe. The other 11 are not even here. And the other 11, they're going to follow another guy. It says there in verse number 8, but Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over Israel. That was a lot of crazy names you didn't know, right? Let me tell you this. That's more than the tribe of Judah. So David is king, but he just has one area. Meanwhile, this other guy, Ishbosheth, what kind of a name is that? He has the rest of the country. Now, David was anointed by Samuel. He was promised the whole country, the whole enchilada. And here's Ishbosheth getting most of the country. Now, this is not like when David's a teenager. He's a man now. He's a warrior. And he has a whole tribe behind him. And his dudes, they could fight. We see that in the next chapter, chapter 3. They got into a little civil war, a little skirmish. David's guys mopped the floor with these other guys. He wiped them out. His men lost 20. The other guys lost 360. So if they go to war, David's probably going to win. Even though he's only got one tribe, his guys are good enough warriors that he could take over the whole country. This Ishbosheth guy is not a warrior at all. In fact, he's the only son of Saul who's alive. Why is he alive? Because the rest of the sons went to battle and got killed by the Philistines. So for some reason, he was either a coward or physically he was incapable of going to war. Meanwhile, David is this mighty warrior. If David wants to, he can get his army, they can put on their swords, and they can go into battle. And if he wants to, he can take the kingdom that was promised to him. It was promised to him, wasn't it? Isn't he supposed to be the king? Isn't that how it's supposed to work? He would just be doing what God promised him anyway. Would he even be in the wrong? And this is a battle he'd know he would win, right? But he doesn't do any of those things. What does he do? He waits. He waits. He didn't get his men to go. He didn't start a war. He didn't saddle everybody up. He just waited. How long will he wait? He will wait for 7 years. For 7 years, he will be king of just Judah in the city of Hebron. And that's it. And he's going to wait for God to move the pieces. Now listen, there are things in your life tonight that are beyond your control. You can't control it. Try as hard as you want. It's out of your control. But there are also a lot of things in your life tonight that I know you could control. If you wanted to, you could put on the battle axe. You can get on your horse and you can go into war if you wanted to. If you wanted to, you could drive or walk over, or you could make something happen tonight if you really wanted to. And what I'm telling you you should do is you should wait. You should wait on the Lord. Now, I'm not really sure what that is you're thinking of, what it is in your mind that you're trying to make happen, but wait on the Lord. Hang on. Now, in this same story, there's two other guys who did not wait on the Lord. There's this guy Abner, and there's this other guy Joab. If you look there, verse number 8, we said, Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and he made him king in verse number 9. Look at chapter number 3, one chapter over. And if you look there at verse number 6, it says, and it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. So Abner, he has taken his nephew, he has crowned him king, he's anointed him with oil, and the Bible says there he made himself strong. In other words, he said, I am going to be strong for my family, and I am going to make this happen. You ever said that? I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to make this happen. My family needs for me to make this happen. Everybody's depending on me. I am going to just make it happen. And just through sheer will and sure determination, you're going to make it happen. And then it's not really working out. Like, you're trying, you're doing the best you can, but if we're being honest, it's not working out. It's not working out for you. And piece by piece, you see it crumbling right in front of you. Why? Because you are trying to do it in your own strength. And God says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And here you are, completely out of strength. You are exhausted from trying to make this work, from trying to make this happen, from trying to hold things up, from trying to be the strong one and the responsible one and the upbeat one and this and that. When really what you should do is you should wait on the Lord. Here's Abner trying to make it happen. So in chapter number 2, Abner goes to war. He goes to battle with this guy Joab. Joab is David's captain of the guard. If you're open there at verse number 23, I'm sorry, go ahead and look there at verse number 20. It says, then Abner looked behind him and said, art thou Ahasahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left. Lay thee hold on one of the young men and take his armor. But Ahasahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Ahasahel, turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab, thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner with the hinder part of the spear smote him under the 5th rib, and that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Ahasahel fell down and died stood still. So here's Abner. He's trying to take matters into his own hands. I am going to make this work. I'm going to anoint my nephew. He's going to be king, and we're just going to make this work. We're going to make this happen. So in this battle, Joab has a younger brother who's trying to take Abner down. Abner's running away, and when the younger brother Ahasahel won't leave him alone, Abner kills him. He had no choice. Takes a spear, kills him. Ahasahel's dead. Now Abner's made a mortal enemy in Joab, and Joab is an interesting character that we could talk all night about. He, on one hand, is very loyal and a warrior, and on the other hand, he's very treacherous and a madman. It's not really an enemy that you want. Abner made this enemy because he was trying to take matters into his own hands. He was going to make this work. You ever tried to make things work and it just gets worse? And you offend this person and you upset this person and they're mad at me and they said this about me. And so then you try and put this fire out, and in the process of putting this fire out, you got them upset at you now, and now they're upset at you, and you're just exhausted. You're like, oh my gosh, every time I put out a fire, another one starts up. Every time I make peace with this person's angry at me. Every time I try to fix this and try and get this solution, another problem arises. So here's Abner trying to make this kingdom happen, and in the process, he makes a mortal enemy. Here's Joab. His brother just got killed. Now, it wasn't in treachery. It wasn't through deceit. Abner tried to warn the younger brother, hey, leave me alone. You don't know what you're dealing with. You're biting off more than you can chew. You're too young. You can't fight me. You don't know who you're dealing with. And now his younger brother's dead. And Joab swore vengeance. Now, what would the right thing have been? To let it go. To let the Lord handle it. To not seek vengeance. Not Joab. He's going to take matters into his own hands. And in chapter number 3, he is going to trick Abner. He's going to lie to him. And he's going to pretend like, hey, I just want to talk with you. He's going to stab him. And he's going to kill him. And now Joab is going to set himself on a path of destruction, of blood and treachery, and he too will die young and as a coward and all these things. You have David over here who has a situation that he could take matters into his own hands, but he doesn't. You have two other guys who refuse to let it go, and they're going to take matters into their own hands, and they are just going to make it happen, and the more they try, the worse it gets. I am not talking tonight about problems that you have no control over. We talked about that this morning. And there are certainly things that are like that. You have no control over them, and you need patience from the Lord to handle it. What I want to talk to you about is those things in your life, you could handle it. You can go take matters into your own hands. You can go kick some door down. You can go grab some people by the ear. You can go drag some people by the hair. You can say some mean, nasty things. You can get in their face. You can say, you want to fight? Let's go in the parking lot. And there you go, I'll show you, right? You can go ahead and do that and take matters into your own hands, or you could wait on the Lord and stop exhausting yourself. You are exhausted and you are tired, and let's be honest, it's not working out anyway. It's not working out anyway. So how long are you going to keep exhausting yourself? Wait on the Lord. David waited, and yeah, it took 7 years, but after 7 years, he was king of the whole country. And he didn't have to kill anybody. He didn't have to assassinate anybody. God just kind of took everything and put it into place because David waited on the Lord. What is your situation tonight? I know you're thinking about it right now. What is your situation tonight? And you're going to make it work, and I'm going to make it happen, and this is it. And she's the one, and he's the one, and that's the job, and that's the house, and that's the car. I don't have money for it, but I'm going to get a credit card, and I'm going to get a loan, and I'm going to get my dad to co-sign for me, and that's the car. How about you don't? How about you ride your bike a little bit more, okay? And why don't you wait until you actually have the money? Why don't you use the junk car that your neighbor's going to sell you for $200? No, I got to have the Tesla, and I can make it. I'll just use my student loans, and I'll get the car. Stop. You keep trying to make it through your own strength. Would you stop that? Would you stop that? We make messes for ourselves. Oh man, she's the one, we're gonna make it work, and well, I'm gonna have the house to myself. I'm gonna invite her to come over, and my dad's not gonna know, my mom's not gonna know, and I'm gonna say that, I have a field trip, and you're coming with all kinds of crazy elaborate plans in this life because you're gonna make it work through your own strength. And it's not gonna work. Would you please wait on the Lord? Now, if you're here and you say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I've been trying to make it work. I've been trying to force it down my kid's throat. I've been trying to drag them, and I'm going to wait on the Lord. I've been trying to get my boss, whatever, to fall off a cliff. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to wait on the Lord, and not Miss Rosemary. She's a great boss. I'm going to wait on the Lord. How can we do that? You still open there in Isaiah? Let's take a look at this verse, and we will be done. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. You're waiting on the Lord, and he gives you a second wind. He renews your strength. It's like it's all new, all over again. When you're walking with the Lord, you're talking with the Lord, and you're relying on him and you're depending on him, all of a sudden, you can go a long time. You can lift a lot of weight. And it's amazing. Time just kind of flows by you. A lot of you have been in this church a long time. And you've been here for many years. And there's a lot of people that are not here anymore. And it's amazing. When they get out of church, not saying this church necessarily, but away from God, it's amazing how the years are rough and how they're hard. They smack them in the face and they come stumbling back in here and it's a mess. And it's like, how did that happen? Well, you got away from the Lord. If you are with the Lord, you're reading, you're praying, you're being with him, you are going to renew your strength. He says you're going to mount up with wings as eagles. You're going to run. Now, God is not against you and I running. That means there should be goals in your life. There should be things in your life that you're trying to go for. But if you're going for them and the Lord is helping you, you're going to be able to go for them. What are your goals in life? Do we have some goals tonight that we've set up? I don't mean just for money. I don't mean just for a new house. I don't mean just for a new car. I mean spiritually. What are some spiritual goals that you have? I think it's great to have financial goals. I think it's great to have physical goals. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I got the same goal. Brother Chris, the diet starts tomorrow. No, my birthday's tomorrow. Diet starts Tuesday, okay? I think it's great to have physical goals. That's wonderful. Do you have any spiritual goals tonight? We don't really have those. We're kind of just surviving. Get you some spiritual goals tonight. This is my spiritual goal. The year's almost over. I got 2 months. This is what I'm going to do. And you do it. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's getting in this word more. Let me tell you what, the 2 verses a day, it's just not cutting it. It's just not cutting it. Okay? Maybe it's more faithful to church attendance. Maybe it's starting to tithe. Maybe it's reaching out and bringing someone to church. God has been laying it on your heart, and now it's time you do that. I don't know. It's a standard. It's a show you're going to stop watching. It's a bad habit you have. But pick something. Set you a spiritual goal. He says you're going to run and you're not going to be weary. We're running. We're just not running for the Lord. We're running for ourselves. You're killing yourself for your job when they would replace you in one day. I heard this phrase, the only person that's going to remember how much you worked in 20 years are your kids. No one else is going to remember. And it's true. Listen, I got to work too. I go to my job, but they're not my priority. You know why they're not my priority? Because I'm not their priority. They would replace me if they could in a heartbeat. No, they can't. I'm the best bus driver in Riverside. But I'm just kidding. But man, they don't care. And I love my job. I love the people that work there. They're wonderful people. But man, the job's not the priority. What is the priority? Set you some spiritual goals. Tonight. I don't know what they are. You set some. If you have a question, I'd be happy to help you. It says, and they shall walk and not faint. Why does it say run first and then it says walk and not faint? Walking, the everyday consistent things that we're supposed to do. Your kids need you to be consistent and stable. I know there's times where you feel like throwing in the towel. Can I just encourage you to stay faithful and consistent? Not just to church, although yes, to church, but in life. Try and be consistent. Don't be happy and sad and upset and I'm here and I'm angry and I'm this and that. I talked about it this morning, but our emotions should be something that is even keel. Walk and not faint. You say, man, that's really tough. I don't know if I could do it. I understand. With the Lord, we can do all things and He's willing to help. Stop doing it in your own strength. Wait on the Lord and see what He won't do for you. Do the thing for tonight. Thank you, Lord, for everyone being here. I pray, God, that you would just help us to wait on you. I think, Lord, sometimes it's tough to know when we're supposed to wait on you and when we're supposed to do it. But I know for a fact there are times where we have situations and we want to handle it ourselves, and really we need to let the Lord work. I know for me as a pastor, I do it all the time. I have someone not go to church. I want to show up at the doorstep and go, where were you? I need to take a step back. Wait on you. Pray about it. Let you work on their heart. Let you soften their heart. I think I can do everything in my own power. I can't. I can't change somebody's heart. You can. I should be going to you in prayer, waiting for you to give me the opportunity. Or I know there's some situations tonight where people, they're just trying to make it work so bad. I pray, God, if it's a situation you would have them wait, that you would make it clear and you would give them the courage and the patience to wait on you to handle whatever that situation is.